just give them estimates. Somersaults for my Benjamins. I got what you need, baby. Skirt and Chevy make a scene, baby. LA BB been the team, baby. Been Papa work the G, baby, look.
So I'm finished, got a hand from the minutes through the head, got a bag, got a hands in the business. For my hand is a ticket, talking music for the business. That's a comment.
Hello and welcome to the Official Watches YouTube channel here in Jardin du Mayfair. Heaven on earth for the watch enthusiast. This week I have something very special indeed. It's none other than the Patek Philippe Nautilus 40th anniversary edition. It's the 5711 1P. It's the Platinum Nautilus with the diamond dial. I've been waiting nearly 2 months to do this video. I'm so happy that it's here. So guys, please do hit subscribe. Up to 70% of you aren't subscribed, and it would really help me out if you click that subscribe button, and I will keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. It would be fair to say that the Patek Philippe Nautilus is the most sought after steel sports watch of a lifetime. It has reigned supreme since its introduction in 1976 and shows no sign of conceding its status anytime soon, despite even being discontinued, much to everyone's vexation, in 2021. Despite being positioned as mortal enemies, the Nautilus shares DNA and designer with the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. But you already knew that, right? The Nautilus, named after Captain Nemo's vessel in Jules Verne's famous 1870 novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, had its humble beginning in 1974 when it was sketched on a napkin while Gerald Genta, the world's most iconic watch designer, was sitting in a restaurant enjoying his lunch and eavesdropping on a group of Patek Philippe executives who were chatting about the watch Basel Fair at a table positioned close to his. It's such a crazy story, you couldn't make it up. The Royal Oak was on the market as the first luxury sports watch in steel, and Patek, being AP's absolute competitor, needed to respond. Genta took his sketch over to the execs, and with his reputation already preceding him, the wheels were in motion. There was a definite seafaring theme to both the Royal Oak and the Nautilus. The Royal Oak was designed with the octagonal shape of a diver's helmet in mind, while the Nautilus was altogether less angular and based on the portholes found in transatlantic cruise liners. You may have heard the potted history before, but it has particular relevance to the 5711 1P, as this is one of 2 watches that Patek released in 2016 to commemorate the 40-year anniversary of its icon. The other being reference 5976 1G, which is a super-sized 44mm white gold chronograph, which was a limited edition of 1,300 pieces. The Platinum 5711 saw a much more limited production run of 700 pieces, as well as maintaining its original 40mm dimensions, a move which vaulted it straight up to the top of the collectability pile. I mean, when you get this thing in hand, straight away, the weight, the feel, the luxury, this truly is the best plain Nautilus I've ever seen. I mean, I call it plain, it's anything but this is a stealth wealth piece for sure. It's a 5711. It's in platinum. The weight on the wrist is an absolute pleasure. The heft of the platinum has been well counterbalanced by the fact that the Nautilus is a slim piece with a broad head, so it wears absolutely perfectly. The case is identical to any other 5711, so has the specs of 40mm diameter, 8.6mm thick with a lug-to-lug width of 48.5mm if we include the integrated end link, which we should whenever measuring integrated pieces. The case and bracelet are identical to the steel models with alternating mirror polish and satin areas. It's worth noting that this sort of detail is much harder to achieve on platinum than it is on other metals, so hats off to the finishers here. The dial, although broadly similar to the blue steel model, is a much brighter shade with no gradient on display. Those familiar with the steel variant will know that it has a slightly smoky effect which is not present in this anniversary edition. This one, when under bright light, is an almost cobalt blue, but when under dark light, it appears to be quite a sort of navy tone. Now, although I am a fan of the gradient dials, this one holds its own very well indeed. There is a contentious point to the dial which appears to have divided collectors. It has been embossed just above the 6 and reads 40, 1976 to 2016. Now, it's a Marmite edition, but to sit very much on the fence, it's infinitely more subtle in the metal than it appears to be when viewing large high-res images online. It passes virtually unnoticed above and beyond being there, in much the same way that wearers aren't plagued by superlative chronometer officially certified. And in fairness, this is a special anniversary release, so a nod to the event somewhere on the watch is hardly surprising and not out of place either. I'm happy that it's not on the caseback, for example, because I think you wouldn't be able to enjoy it as much when wearing. The markers are baguette diamonds because why wouldn't you? It's an anniversary edition. They are subtle enough though that at a passing glance they don't shriek bling, as baguettes aren't designed to maximise sparkle. They tend to have around 14 facets as opposed to 50 odd, so they don't reflect as much light, and as a result they don't command quite as much attention. We could say stealth wealth, or we could say low-key luxury. Either would be suitable phrases here. As this is a platinum Patek, there's another 0.2 carat top Vesselton dial. That's an old name for G diamond, nestled into the bezel at 6, which has always served to remind owners that they are wearing boss-level precious metal. This watch has exactly the same water capabilities of its steel counterparts, which is 120 meters. This always pleases me because my watch manufacturer pet peeve is the loss of capability, which appears to be associated with the addition of diamonds in some cases. Not so here. Bravo, Patek Philippe. The movement is the caliber 324 SC. It has a 45-hour power reserve and quick set date, but no hacking seconds. That said, you can hack them yourself if you want to be dead on by applying back pressure to the crown, which stops the sweep. All things considered and vintage 3700 aside, this is quite possibly peak Nautilus for me. The platinum turns it from feather light to noticeable on the wrist without being uncomfortable. The baguettes add just the right amount of pizzazz, and it's exceptionally limited on the market. I've always been a die-hard steel fan, but if we put values aside, this is the one I'd choose as an only watch. Now, the meat and potatoes. Of course, it's limited edition, it's full platinum, it's covered in baguette diamonds, so yes, it's £368,000. But it is up there contending with watches of that value, no doubt in my mind. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here at Jardin du Mayfair for another very special YouTube episode. Your support means the world to me. Please do hit subscribe and leave me a comment. I always like chatting to you guys in the comments.